Theory says if they can express the amount of pain or hurt or threat in what's going on, they don't have to show you. So how are you going to get them to express that? This is one person's way. I don't know if it works. I just know she's doing it. Here's another one. And this one is, I feel not very good, not bad, pretty good, happy, very happy because, and I guess she must have had them talk about it. I guess I don't know what she did with that. I just took the photo because that's more or less what I'm looking for. How do I get to know? First of all, alerts me to who needs to be very gently dealt with that day. That's already a good thing. Whose curriculum might need a bit of modification. You know, who's had a bad morning, basically. And I suppose technically it gives them a way to express themselves. Now, if they think you're listening when they do this, in other words, once I put my name down there, if that's kind of like having someone hear me, maybe that in itself is therapeutic. Without any response. I don't know. But I think it should be theoretically. So, that's your business. And here's a punishment that some schools use. And when people use these, no one ever complains about this category. Now, I don't know what that means. When I interviewed someone, they said, I don't need it anymore. But I don't know what that means. What do you mean, don't need it anymore? This is what teachers, it's part of 300 teachers that have done this stuff. And it's funny how they interpret it. You know, you read these and you think, well, they sort of missed the point, you know. This one I like. That's the theory. But this one is not. When you talk about those things, again, you like that in detention? Yeah, that's the reality, isn't it? You talk about in detention. That's when you've got these kids. And watch what happens. It starts. And I don't know if that's true or whether they're telling me what I want to hear. But when you get to assessment, it drops. Can anyone explain that? These were secondaries, of course. Is it that hard to modify assessment in secondary? So it's an area that needs more work, obviously. It would be great to have parallel forms of tests, you know. Oh, I can show you something cute. I was at a primary once where this kid was problematic. I was trying to help the teacher. And so he was having them respond to a literary exercise, right? They'd read a passage and he was going to explain what it was. So he asked the kids in this test, tell me what this was all about. Now, what it was about was a coherent community, a group of kids doing the same things, right? So this kid sat there in front of this paper. And he said he would. He said he's going to fail. Because I'd said, don't let anyone fail. Try not let a kid fail who's a D because it can't possibly help. So he said, but the kid's got to do the test because the school's demanding it, sort of thing. So I said, okay, well, next time you have a test, maybe tell him to draw his answers. Just draw them instead of, you know, like I asked you to draw. So the kid draws this. So he had figured out the theme of the story, right? That there was this coherence of the community, of the group. But he then went and did this. And he wrote in here, in really hard to read words, we're all together. Or totally misspelled. But he wrote the words, we're all together, which was the right answer, really. Now, I was surprised and I thought, okay, now if he had not been asked to draw, he would have been dumb. Because he's been allowed to draw, he's no longer dumb. So there's got to be some clever ways of modifying assessment in secondaries, in maths even, that allows people who know stuff, like with the rats. They can cut up the rats, they understand the rats, they just can't answer the questions. Now, I don't know what that's going to look like because I'm not creative. Is anyone working on that? Yeah? Yeah, makes sense. So if they could say to you the perceived threat in this work is 80%, and you knew that if I could get down to 50%, you'd have a shot, that's what you're doing. You're reducing the sort of the assessment and the demand in the work. Yeah, and you didn't attend to the behaviour though. That's what I'm trying to say all the way through here. When you get to D's, the behaviour is incidental. It's a byproduct of low self-concept, according to this theory. Deal with the low self-concept, the behaviour will take care of itself. Now, the school won't let you do that. They'll demand that you deal with the misbehaviour. So you're going to have to explain that to the kid and say, I don't dislike you, all that sort of stuff we spoke about. Okay, now, any questions before I give you one little activity just to see, before you go to lunch, whether you've got the guts of this? Because I think one of the pages there asks you about some situations. Am I right? Yeah, 27. Just take one of them. Take D. Now, we'll do it properly. We're going to do it properly. We're not going to be sort of advocates for Dreykus. D is a situation. The questions you are being asked are the following. If Dreykus is correct, what might the mistaken goal be? Can you think of another way of understanding this which has nothing to do with Dreykus? And the key question is, what could you do, which is really an experiment, what could you do to see which of these explanations seems to be the most predictive? Okay, now you might want to work as a table because it's hard to fix, but I'll say it again. I see this situation occur. If I were Dreykus, what would I interpret it to me? And therefore, once I know the goal, I know what to do. But if I were not Dreykus and I'm just a free-thinking individual, what other possible explanation could there be for such behaviour? And the key question is, what might I then do in order to test these competing hypotheses? So I have a better idea of what really is causing this. Okay, so that's your job. Try it. You only got about 5 minutes to get something down, but it's a really challenging activity, so you definitely will have to work as a group.